What's going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here. Welcome to day 183 of the 365-day graphic novel review challenge. Also, today is the second day where I'm going to be talking about only indie books for the month of July. Today, I'm going to be talking about another Ghostbusters book. This is Ghostbusters, The Other Side. This is a 4-issue miniseries from IDW and is written by Keith Campaign with art by Tom Negune. This is a really interesting storyline. I like this quite a bit. Basically, we open with the status quo of the Ghostbusters are in New York City. They are an established team that fights and captures ghosts. You know that if you've seen either of the movies. And basically, they are stopping this organized crime group of ghosts from meeting, and then Venkman gets possessed by this 1940s gangster guy, and then he goes to his bosses, and they are a collection of 1930s and 40s gangsters. One of them is Al Capone. I don't remember who any of the others were. If you're big on history, you will probably recognize these guys, but the only name that I recognized was Al Capone. And so all these gangsters are like, okay, we need to get rid of the Ghostbusters because it was fine whenever they were moving in on people like Gozer and Vigo, but now they're moving into our territory, and so we want to get rid of them so that we can keep doing what we're doing. And so, using Venkman's body, they are able to kill all of the Ghostbusters. They are then sent to Purgatory, and then we find out that Venkman's ghost is in Purgatory, and then from Purgatory, these guys basically have to try to find a way to go back to the land of the living and stop these gangster ghosts from doing what they're doing. This is a really interesting storyline. One thing that I like a lot about it is that this kind of puts Venkman in the background, and this lets some of the other Ghostbusters come to the foreground and be more protagonistic than they usually are. Now, we still don't get a whole heck of a lot from Egon and Ray. We get to see them function without Venkman, which is interesting. At one point, they're both kind of down in the dumps that seemingly Venkman is dead, and they're both really just not sure how to handle the situation that they're in. I like that a lot. I especially like how they handle Winston here. We get to see that Winston's girlfriend from sometime before he joined the Ghostbusters, that she died. I think it's implied that she drowned, but it's not 100% said. But we get to see her, and we get to see him reacting to her, and that was really nice and really sweet. I like getting background on these characters, because for the most part in the movies you don't really get a whole lot of background on these guys, so I like getting some of that. But I really like that Venkman more or less is pushed aside, and we get to see these other guys operate without him, because he is seemingly pushed out of the picture in the first issue, and then it's not until the end of the second issue where we get to see his ghost in Purgatory, and then he is seemingly captured in, I think, the end of the third issue or the beginning of the fourth issue. So there's not a whole lot of Venkman in this book. Now, if Venkman is your favorite Ghostbuster, then you might not like this book because of that. I like Venkman in the movies, but I also like getting to see the Ghostbusters who are not Venkman get to do stuff other than be on the sidelines, not really doing anything. I really like this book a lot. I like the storyline. I like the idea of all of these gangsters from the 1930s continuing their gangster activities even after they've died. You get to see Elliot Ness and J. Edgar Hoover ally themselves with the Ghostbusters. That's a lot of fun. The end of the book does seem a little bit forced in how it restores the status quo, because all the Ghostbusters were straight up murdered in this book, and then that is kind of fixed at the end of the book, and I don't really like the way that that's fixed, but ultimately, it's not really a problem for me. The rest of the book is just so darn good that it doesn't bother me that the fix at the end of this book is kind of a cheat, a little bit hackneyed writing, but it doesn't bother me that much. It's not a deal breaker. It's a little bit of a problem, but not too much of a problem. I would still give this book like a 9 out of 10. So if you liked the Ghostbusters movies, if you want to see some real good, authentic feeling Ghostbusters action, one of my big problems with the Tokyo Pop miniseries that I talked about yesterday was that it didn't really feel true to the Ghostbusters movies. I feel like this feels really true to the Ghostbusters movies. It's more or less consistent with the mythos that is established in the movies, insofar as the movies were consistent with themselves. Sometimes the movies were kind of inconsistent just with each other. So it's consistent as far as it's able to be. But I really like this miniseries, and if you're a Ghostbusters fan and you maybe haven't heard of this miniseries, I would give it a shot. So those are my thoughts on The Other Side. I hope that you guys liked this video, and if you did, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will be back tomorrow with another video. In the meantime, you guys have a great rest of the day. Catch you later.